that little Zoom thing.
Yeah, so yeah, making a video out of it. I am
Trying to
at the
look
body
something
shop,
decent.
so I love your hair.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
I will
Say
never have
hi.
that much hair ever in my life.
No, this
Hi.
thing has been like that since like how Morgan is just full of hair. How are you? Hi.
Yeah.
How are you? Can you say hi?
I'm at the body shop, so I'm just gonna be like pacing around, and you can just see all the like cars and like car graveyards, I guess. Like,
How insane is that with your car, though?
yeah, I think that it was the moisture. So the moisture from the roof leaking in there, and then it's warm enough that it's like hot boxing my car with moisture.
Mm.
And I think the OnStar that's in the rear view mirror like was affected by the moisture, so that kept triggering it. So yeah, it's being screamed at by OnStar nonstop. Even when I turn off the car, take the keys out, and it's still like yelling at me. Like,
Oh my God.
for English, say English. I'm like, no, I don't want English. I don't want anything. Leave me alone.
I want you to stop screaming at
It
me.
was so surreal too. It wouldn't let me like turn the volume down. It wouldn't let me press any buttons. It wouldn't let me turn the car off. Like it wouldn't do it. It was so bizarre. It was just screaming at me like, today is not the day to talk to Desiree. Stop trying.
See, that
Stop
also
it.
makes me nervous about like I've always wanted like to have one old school car that has none of the new fandangled things. So if I need to get the hell on somewhere, they can just shut my car down
Yeah.
on me.
Yeah. OnStar, it
Right?
definitely keeps me on the grid, I think. So
Oh,
there's
definitely
that.
does.
But
So
you know,
you
I like to
definitely
be like I'm out in the mountains. Like if I rolled off the mountainside with my car, like, they'd be able to find me.
right. So that's a good
My
thing.
phone got smashed or something, you know, like, yeah, I should be able to like push that button and be like, okay, no, I'm not paying you, but like 911 now. Like,
Yeah, I think that you could still do emergency calls because I had OnStar 1,000 years ago. But yeah, you
yeah.
could still do emergency. Yes, you can. You can still do emergency, and they can still track you, so that's good for safety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice for the universe to be so abundantly like in my face with like, now is not a good time. And then you needed to
Right.
reschedule. I'm like, no, it's not the time. You guys talk later. Okay, talk later. So now is the time apparently. It's working
Yes, it is. I am totally available. The kids are at swimming. Jade took
out.
them, so I'm not distracted. Well, I mean, still
Yep.
have Morgan, but you know.
Yeah. that, that, that's just part of your every waking moment. So that's part of
Right.
how you
Pretty
feel. You want
much.
to talk to me? Yeah. Pretend this baby's still inside of me, just louder.
Exactly. Just say hi. Hi.
So tiny. How much does she weigh now?
I don't know.
I feel like
She
Thane
was,
was never that tiny. Like I see pictures of her like all bundled up in the
yeah.
carrier. I'm like, I don't think he was ever that tiny. He was in like 3 months by the time he was
We
born.
were at the doctor before going to New York, and she was 10 pounds. Yes, I hear
That was
you.
Thane was about that when he was born. So
Right. So, but
accurate.
all of my girls have been dainty like that. Karen was the one
Mhm.
who was like a tank, and apparently she weighed more than him, which I do not
Yeah.
believe. I'm sure the scales were off at the hospital because he kind of always looks how he looks now, like a tank.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah. He's
he's right
tiny.
behind. He's like 3 pounds under Erin, and
Yeah. He's
and
hardy. I
solid.
love those hardy body types.
Yeah, he definitely is. But all my girls have been like this, like dainty. We were newborns
Yeah.
forever. She's still in newborn diapers. I tried to put the size one on, and it was just poopy city. Pee city coming right out the side. There was nothing to hold it. Nothing to hold it.
Awesome. So how are you doing with your postpartum and journey to New York? And that would look amazing.
It was everything. It was everything I needed it to be. I was so thankful to do it, more thankful to do it with my kids, and just share a part of me that
Yeah.
they just don't know, because like you kind of forget things and people until you're there in those spaces, and this is not my home. So it's like when I go there, I'm able to
Yeah.
share like stories of my mom, stories of my dad. I took them to the same pizzeria that I took. Hold on a second, that's Jade calling me,
No problem.
because you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I took it to places, you know, and I was able to share, hey, I used to take Jade here. So it's even, they learn more about Jade. And, you know, Jade's grandma lived right here in this building. And this is where I lived with Jade, right? And this is where I lived and what I did. And, you know, I try to take them to places and things that I did as a kid, like with the Bronx Zoo and all of that kind of stuff. And tailor it around the things that they like, but able to share pieces of me. Like, you know, I waited for the Bronx Zoo to do the dinosaur exhibit so they experience the Bronx Zoo, but like something that they would enjoy instead of just like mom's bringing me to this damn zoo because she used to bring Jade or grandma used to bring her. You know, taking them onto New York City at night so they could see those lights, just kind of like the energy of the city and just how things are different. It was everything. It was perfect for me. I had not been, I go home all the time, like, because I have my cousin who lives in Boston, but I'll do like a day trip to New York or something. Like, I haven't been back home and in my hometown for like 20 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So to go
That's wild.
home, it was wild. And like I said, because I'm constantly back there, even if it's a day trip or whatever, grab a slice of pizza and some cookies or something. I kind of didn't feel the depth of what that was like, but I had not been there for 20 years.
Wow.
So like, for that long, but like as who I am, you know, like when I was married to Jade's dad, we had been there, but even then, I don't think we maybe have been there like a week before transitioning to go to another place for vacation or something. But no, it was 20 years since I had been home like that.
How long did you get to stay?
We were there for 10 days.
That's awesome. That's a great amount of time. You get to like settle in and enjoy it.
Yeah. And then, you
I
know,
think even like a week feels like just as you're settling in, you're looking at like the countdown of the last day, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
10 days feels awesome.
10 days it was perfect. And I was at my cousin's house. So that was awesome, reconnecting with her and our kids really connecting for the first time.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
So cool. It's making my heart flutter with those feelings from San Francisco, because like I have had to, like, you give up those parts of yourself with your kids, like at the street festivals and oh man, pillow fights in the streets, like things like that. And then sailing, I can't wait to teach my child to sail. And it just, when they're like, you just have a baby, there's no connection in your mind of like ever teaching this child to sail. But there will be like an awakening moment. He'll be like 7 or something. I'll be like, oh, it's time. Like, let's go.
Right.
We're moving to San Francisco.
Exactly. You will feel that. You feel that pain. It does. It really does tug. It pulls on you because it is a part of who you are. You can't negate that, you know? And it's like, I created a person when I came to Georgia, and not an inauthentic version of myself, just a different version of myself.
Yeah.
Because my needs when I got here were completely different than my needs were anywhere else. I was coming out of a divorce and coming here. There was like so many layers to why I landed in Georgia.
Yeah, sounds like you left all your family and those comforts and patterns and everything too.
Well, what I initially left for was good. I was married. My husband was in the military. But I was never done with New York. You know? And we were a young family starting out and wanted to do better for our daughter, and we did that. And we lived and we traveled, and but I moved to Atlanta or to Georgia because I was in Stone Mountain first because he and I got divorced. And my best friend Josie lived here. So I always blame her for bringing me in. But she lived here and none of my family had kids. And our kids had grown up like cousins together. They don't even remember. I was like 6 months pregnant when I met Josie, and she had Mikey. So then here came Jade, and he was like 2. And then she had Aaliyah 2 years after that. So like those kids are family. So it didn't make any sense to go back home because my family was here.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, your concept of family shifts too, because you were the kid when you were in New York, and then when you were here, it all shifted to your kids. Like you're feeling about Jade, so it was about where her family is, which is the kids that she spends all of her time with, where she's spent all of her life so far, and she identifies. It would be uprooting her to reroot yourself.
Yeah, and it was that
her
would be cruel.
Appropriate family was here. Yeah. Awesome.
Now I'm trying to figure out how to do the same thing, go where their family is.
Yeah, yeah. That's so exciting. I'm so excited for you. And I love the like veteran mom vibe because I like myself and so many like first time moms, you're just like so down for the count trying to figure out like how the hell do you balance all this stuff. But then once you have older kids, then the younger kids just are just like a baby on your hip, you know, a baby strapped to you while you keep going through life, and life feels so much more continuous. And I love, you know, like you and you representing that, like bringing it to me all the time in life of like, you just had a baby, you're off in New York, having the time of your life, you know, and be like, okay, it's not always like this baby is going to take me out of life completely for 2.5 years, you know, because that's what
No,
I mean, that's literally what has happened. And it wasn't just the baby, it was me, you know,
obviously, yeah.
everything that I had to outgrow when it has time to grow up to be a mom. So yeah, but you got the veteran mom thing nailed
Thank
down,
you.
man. I love
Thank
it.
you.
So,
Yeah, it's
so
fun. Yeah, they don't
inspirational.
stop anything. They damn sure slow everything down.
Yeah,
Everything.
right.
Even getting a cup
Yeah.
of coffee. Sometimes breakfast takes 2 hours for me to get to, but they don't stop anything for
Okay.
you.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely. Well, that first one sure can, man. Did for me.
Yeah, because it's
All
an
my
adjustment
life.
period. I don't think I've ever experienced that. And I mean I recognize the difference of people who wait to have their kids and like teen moms. I never experienced that because I wasn't doing shit anyway. I was 16. Like
Yeah,
what
right.
was she stopping? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's
so
true. Yeah.
um for me it's just a normal flow. Like having a kid in tow is just what you kind of do. She's like
Yeah, what
always
you've
been with
always
me.
done. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
I've always
doesn't
envied
really,
that.
but
Yeah,
like I
having my
do
first
not
child at
envy
33
women.
is different.
I'm sorry, what?
I said having my first child at 33 is very different.
Yeah, I don't envy that. I tell my cousin Kristen that all the time. I'm like, yo, how the hell did you do it? She's like, no, how the hell did you do it? I was like, no, I would have been too selfish. If I waited to 30 anything, I would no.
I
And I
had a
get that.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, like I get that now. It's more so like I had it in theory, but then I got it when I had these second sets of kids. Like Jade was 16 when I had them. Like I was
Yeah.
almost done.
Yeah.
And
No kidding.
so when I was sitting here, especially when we separated, I was like, I know, like, fuck, he doesn't think he's sticking me with some kids.
Yeah.
Like, at 36 years old to be a single mother. Like, I'm gonna be parked
Yeah.
wherever the fuck you live, and you're gonna
Yeah.
help raise these kids. I don't care who you're with, but we are co-parenting.
Yeah. Definitely. That's awesome. And that's awesome that like that seems to have just worked out so well for you. Like you guys enduring the way that you have, and
So
getting
far,
things back together now. And I'm sure there's always going to be ups and downs and stuff, but yeah, it seems
indeed.
to really hold all together.
Yeah, I mean, anything and everything takes work. Um, I'm a very sensible person. So if I could tie sensibilities into like love and caring, that makes sense for me. And like
Yeah.
it makes sense, even though it's something to battle through because that pain is real.
Yeah.
That's still something I get over daily. Like I'll look at you and be like, I just want to kind of jump on you. But but it's family and shit is shitty sometimes with family, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So,
was
but
always
it is a
looking for
constant
growth.
healing. It's not,
Yeah.
yay, everything, batting my
Yeah.
eyes. And it's like, no, there's a lot
Well,
of
there's
like,
always the
don't talk to
Facebook
me.
highlight reel. You can always look back at your own stuff and be like, look at all the great.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I also share the shitty. Like, I'm
Yeah.
pissed off today. I hope
Yeah.
he gets hit by a bus.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Amen. There are definitely those days for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
it does
sorry. I'm
help
trying
though.
to
I love
balance this phone and her while she's nursing. Okay, there we go.
yeah. So how are you doing with the food plan and all of that stuff that you've got going on?
That's going great. Just simply because of the convenience. Like I said, sometimes it'll take 2 hours to get to breakfast. So it's nice that if it's
Yeah,
taking that long, I could just pop something in the microwave,
yeah.
and just like reheat it. It's already in its little prepackaged things. And
Yeah, you
so
know
I
how much
love
to
that.
eat. Yeah.
Exactly. So I love the convenience of it. Um, I also like that it's healthier food. It reminds me like I didn't just always eat so crappily and just shove like fast food in my mouth. So that's a nice
Yeah.
reminder.
Right.
And then it motivates me like to do like a healthier breakfast too. and I know that like I'm not going to be just so starved that I need to shove anything in my face. So for many aspects, I
Yeah.
enjoy it. Are you okay,
Yeah, that's
Daniel?
awesome. How do you feel that it's like affecting your body or breastfeeding, anything like that?
Well, I mean, just nourishing, like, I think it's more, I think anything like food related and body related is an emotional connection. So I think like just knowing that there's food to nourish me and like love and care has been put into that and all of those things kind of just, it makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
so I think that mind body connection in and of itself is what's beneficial. As far as like weight loss, I do jump on the scale. I didn't this week. Um, but I think in total, like from birth to now, I've lost over 40 pounds, so that's good.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
because she just turned 2 months. I probably want to go down at least another 60, and I'd be good. But I'm starting to feel like myself. I like to like I've never been slim, so I'm not interested in becoming something that I'm not. I love my body.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I like being able to move again. That pregnancy was horrendous and debilitating. And you saw me at my baby shower, and like that was
Yeah.
like a better day, and I
Yeah.
could barely get around,
And you still had a while to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was not um definitely after that pregnancy, I was like, I'm good on being pregnant ever again.
Yeah. Uh, I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That mobility, I mean, you've got all that relaxant in your system. So not only is your body being like pushed and pulled from every direction, but it's also looser and more accommodating, being pulled apart. And
Yeah. It's like,
terrible.
sure, tear me up. And then like, so the weight gain,
Yeah.
it was just too much on my body. It was just all too much. And I'm 40.
That's,
So,
yeah. Yeah. You know, spring back is usually the older we get, for sure.
Yeah.
Those things we have to deal with. But I've noticed that my experience, and it may be, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I produce less breast milk when I'm on like a keto, when I'm in ketosis, I guess.
Oh,
Um,
really?
and then when I get back into like eating carbs, I feel like I'm suddenly like, oh wow, like I can tell that I'm making milk now. I mean, I know that I always make milk. I can always squeeze my nipples and like milk comes
Right.
out. And I do know he like swallows for a few seconds. But he's always been a really rapid breastfeeder anyway, so that's not like an extreme for us.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure there's nothing you've noticed, which I mean, I know that that's not the rule at all. Like
Right.
everybody.
Well, I mean, I don't think here's what it is. She's so young, I couldn't even tell you. And I've never tandem nursed. So there was a lot of different, I don't know if it was the food, the tandem nursing, she was just getting used to it. There was a lot of confusion. And I think with all mothers, I don't care how many you've had, how old you are, there's always that feeling of inadequacy. I'm like, there's not
Yeah.
enough. Marco buys
Yeah.
a formula.
Well, and then
Oh,
it's especially God if you
all
don't
of
know
that.
what cluster feeding is, or you don't realize that that's what has begun. You know, you've gotten into a cluster feeding phase, and then you're like, my child is just like hungry all the time. I must not be producing any milk. And then eventually, after like
Right.
2 days of it, and it stops, and you're like, we were cluster feeding. Like, oh. But yeah, I feel
Exactly.
really bad for mothers who don't know that that's a thing. You
And
know,
even if you do know that's a thing, so God, it must be so much worse because I know it's a thing, and every single kid, I still feel completely and utterly inadequate and unable to
yeah,
sustain life
it's
for
not
them.
like
I'm like,
it's not like an alarm goes off and it's like time for your child to start overly needing milk and feeling like you don't have enough. Like it doesn't like tell you ahead of time. Cluster feeding
right,
ahead, you know. You don't usually don't know until you look back at things have normalized again and you're like, man, like I don't know what that was. And you're like, oh yeah, like cluster feeding is totally a thing. My child was needing more milk from me and so they were nursing more often to cue my body to give them more milk. And like
mm-hmm.
that's all it was. It wasn't
Makes
me not
sense.
being able to support my child. Yeah,
Right. And
for
then,
sure.
so between that, because like I said, she's only 2 months, I still am nursing Kieran, who my intent was to allow him to self wean, and he was doing good
Mhm.
during pregnancy. He was down to like maximum 2 times a day, or definitely once and maybe twice. Now he thinks he's supposed to nurse every time she nurses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not. I cannot. I don't even want
Yeah.
to, so I got him down to 2 times a day. It's a little bit of a fight. We've been doing it for 2 days. But I'm like, when you wake up in the morning, fine. and before you go to sleep at night,
Yeah.
which I can understand both of those needs,
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but other than that, I also don't go full keto. Like like today I had like a little bowl of oatmeal for breakfast, or like
Mm-hmm.
the other day I had like whatever chicken piccata kind of thing she made with cauliflower, and I put like a tablespoon of rice. So I
Mm-hmm.
do, like, I call it my keto light, like it's more,
Yeah.
and for me I think it's just more mindful that I'm actually eating, so my
Yeah.
body's
Absolutely.
thankful that like I'm nourishing myself 3 times a day, which is not always
Yeah.
a trait for me. So I think that that's why it's
Right.
working. I don't know if I ever want to go into like full keto, because that's a little too restrictive. And I like things. I like to have a whiskey with ginger
Yeah.
ale. I'm not going to give certain things up
Yeah.
for anything. So,
Right. Well, to
but so
have in
far
your
so good.
wheelhouse, one diet that's really effective for women, especially, is called Trim Healthy Mama. But the whole concept is it's just each meal that you're deciding if you're going to be high carb or high fat, and not going 5 grams over. So when you're eating a high fat meal, you don't go over 5 grams of carbs. And when you're eating a high carb meal, you don't go over 35 grams of carbs, but you don't go over 5 grams of fat. And so it gives you that each one you're making. And I mean, if you're breastfeeding, you also do what's called crossovers, or, which is both, like you do eat a meal
Yeah.
that's got fat in it. And because you do, when you're pregnant, when you're breastfeeding, that is a way for your body to, like, if it's sending you the signal, like, I actually need both fat and like because I think kind of the concept is, if you're using both fuel sources that your body is going to be storing, versus if you're using one fuel source, then it's going to be using that fuel source. So if you're only eating, like,
Gotcha.
that's the concept of keto, but it also works with, high carb diet, essentially. So they actually, and it's amazingly successful. Like, there's thousands, like probably 20,000 women or something in the main group.
I'm in
And
that
there's
group. I
just
think you
like,
put me in there.
yeah, it's just like the big keto groups, where it's just like success story after success story after success story, extreme results of healing all of your issues and all of that. Because really the worst thing that we're doing is, I mean, our children need to grow rapidly, right? They need to
Yeah.
combine carbs and fat. They need the fat for their brains and their muscles, and all of that. Really need them to be able to develop, and to keep lengthening, keep growing, and keep adding to their body. They need carbs and fat both. And then as adults, like, we're no longer growing at that rate. But when you're pregnant or when you're breastfeeding, then you
You need to
are,
provide that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So there are times it's like you can spend, like 85% of your time kind of in the, like, I'm an adult, I need to be whittling back down. And then, the other 15% of the time, though, your body does say, like, oh, also I'm feeding a baby, and like I need to go ahead and like bulk up this milk, and like
Right.
add back to our stores and all of that. So that's what in Trim Healthy Mama, they do have that crossover meals that do for those experiences when you're in, you're not just, because you can't, postpartum, you absolutely cannot just be like, all right, like, just shred all this weight, and like,
Yeah, no,
as
that's
if you're not
impossible.
also healing and
Yeah,
nourishing
that's
another
impossible.
body, and all of that is terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think that that's
Yeah, it took me
impossible.
about 5 months to gain 80 pounds. Yeah, it took me 2 years to lose the
Yeah,
80 pounds that I gained in 5 months of pregnancy. So,
yeah,
and I
absolutely.
mean, but
I'm
I mean,
totally
I
giving
spent those
myself
two
the
years being
time.
like, this is better. This is better.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But you could have the experience of, like, for all of that time being like, this is better. These fit better. I need new clothes. Like, this is better. This is better. Because it's not, like, not so much of a plateau. It's just slowly,
yeah,
everything's just
and
getting
I'm
better.
with that. Like, I'm like I said, like, it was just that initial. I'm so glad the initial, like, heaviness. I can move around in 250s, 260s. I was I was 304,
Yeah.
almost 305, like 304.4
Wow.
when I went to my last doctor's visit with her. Like, I could not push my
Yeah.
limit any further. Like I said, I'm not a small woman.
Yeah.
Like, 200 is a really, like, a goal weight for me. 180 is like, ooh wee. Like, and my clothes are different.
Yeah.
Like, at 180 I could wear like a 10-12. Back in the days, 10-12. So now I guess it'll be a
Yeah.
6 because they changed sizes. So
Right.
so like, body shape and stuff wise, it doesn't bother me. I just literally, at 300 pounds, at 280, it was just pushing 270 was pushing the envelope. I think I'm somewhere in like the 260s now. And at least I'm able to be around the house. Now I can't go for jaunts or go run in the park with the kids, which is what I would like to get to, and I can do in my 200s. But not at
Yeah.
this size. But I like to at least feel like today I'm going to get up when I get off the phone. I'm going to put my lavender in the ground, put some other plants in the ground. I could do that. When I was heavy with her, I couldn't do anything. I literally I totally see the ease of like my 600-pound life now. Like you sit down and you wonder, how does something like that happen? And I was at that tipping point. It's like, because you literally cannot do anything. So you're sitting there, like I was like bed bound and like, but I still need to
all
eat.
you do is eat. Yeah, right.
I'm like, I still need to eat. It's not helping that I can't really move. Like going to the bathroom becomes problematic. And then like laying back down, I'm like, I'm going to be huge. Like, because I can't do anything. I can't even walk around my house. It was like hard to stand there.
Yeah, well, soon you're gonna have a crawling baby who's gonna get into everything, and you're gonna have to be up and scooping her up and throwing her in the air and all of that.
Super helpful.
I love that. Like, I love just viewing that baby as like, this is your new personal trainer, and they're gonna grow. And as they get to those stages, stay on top of like how present you are, because they're heading to the next stage. Like soon she's going to be climbing shit, you know, and you're going to be like having to like run, bolt across the, you know, you're going to have Karen going one direction and her like climbing something else, and you're going to be bolting back and forth, whether you think you can or not. And soon it will be second nature.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, it does. That does happen. I am thankful.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you, so we're talking a lot about your like pregnancy specifically, that period of time, but I know that you were seeking help with your weight just before you got pregnant as well. So I'm curious about when you can kind of like look back in your past and see like, I was the body type that like I felt really comfortable in and I would like to get back to, and then like around this time it changed. Is it always like a pregnancy?
It's always pregnancy
bumped you
for
up
me.
In weight, or
it's always pregnancy. If you look back, I have pictures, and it's only 8 years ago, and like and I'll share it with you after this, like but it's like Our Day Out is my album on Facebook, and it's actually a part of the series of the picture that I just shared, of Jade and I like head to head like that, and I was like, wow, that was only 8 years ago. That for me is the perfect. I was like 197 pounds. But I'm popping right then, and I'm physically active. Like I was running at that point. I could run a mile with the dog, you know what I mean, and not kill myself. So like now I could probably not even like run to the corner. So when I was seeking your help before that, it was still after pregnancy with Kieran. So it's always, it's pregnancy induced. I gained like that 60, like that's not, it doesn't make sense to fucking gain 80 pounds for a little 10-pound kid. But that's how I carry as well. Really large, really heavy, lots of weight gain. So
what about the pregnancy before? We've talked about this pregnancy, Kieran and Jade, and you had one more pregnancy in there.
Before I got pregnant with Erin, which was like I said, like 8 years ago, I was I was fine.
Goal weight.
I'm perfectly fine between 180 200. Like actually, I could fluctuate between 180 and 220. Like those are my comfortable spaces. Like 180 is completely svelte for me, and 220 is like, okay, you're being a little bit lazy. Pull back, go run somewhere a little bit. You know what I mean? Those are my comfortable weight spaces for both feeling amazing, good sex, you know, ability to run, play, jump, and be all of those things the way and like the way I look. After that point, that 8 years, I got pregnant with Erin, and then I had her early, so that was really stressful. So I think I went back down to like about 220 with her after.
Wait, so how much did you say you gained with her?
I don't remember. I was like 5.5 months pregnant when I gave birth, so it was like
not that extreme.
Probably like 30 pounds by then. So I went back down to my normal like 200 with her, and then with Kieran, I just shot the hell up. I gained like 70 pounds or something with him, and then I probably went down to like 260, and then all this stuff was going on between Mark and I.
Yeah.
So there was lots of stress eating and like who cares whatever kind of stuff, and like how do I navigate kids and food, and it was like 3 times a day almost, at least lunch and dinner, at least 4 times a week was like Wendy's for all of us, because I didn't even know how to navigate doing all of that stuff. So that kept that weight on. And then I was nervous when I got pregnant with Morgan. I was literally just starting to be like, okay, you know, when we went on vacation, I was like, all right, great, we're on vacation. I could reset my mind, my emotions, food. I was eating healthier, came back, and I was pregnant. I was like, and here I be.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, a fascinating thing that is coming to mind is that, I mean, we understand the concept that this, like, a pregnancy is a relationship between the mother and the fetus. Like, it's not just like you're a woman and you're just growing like a generic infant inside of you. Like that infant is controlling your body almost in a way. Like, it will get, like, if you don't nourish yourself enough, it will take nourishment from your body. Like,
it's totally parasitic.
Yeah. And one of the fascinating things about pregnancy in general is like the way that it changes our microbiome and our gut. So if you take like a normal woman and you like swab inside of her thighs, like, you're going to find, you know, like bacteria of the vagina, right? But if you take a woman who is in her 3rd trimester, like the end of her 3rd trimester of pregnancy, and swab the inside of her thighs, you find the cultures that belong inside of her rectum, like the actual like gut bacteria. And that's because when your baby comes out, he is sterile, right? So when Kieran came out, like, he was a sterile infant who would not, if you know, and that's one major thing that's like really, really fucking with the health of our children, is that our medical community is sterilizing women through antibiotics. And I mean, like, I had to literally kick the OB at the business end, who kept trying to use the antibiotic, like antiseptic wipes, to wipe my area like as my baby is like crowning. And I was like, stop, like, it's not supposed to be sterile there. He needs my gut bacteria as he's being born to get on his hands. And that's one reason why, like, you know, the new age of women, we're like, don't wash that baby, you know?
No, yeah.
It comes out, our body is programming our baby by giving them the gut bacteria that they need to be able to digest our breast milk. And our breast milk, not formula, but our breast milk contains oligosaccharides. So it's like essentially just like fiber, prebiotic fiber. It's giving that bacteria that they got from your like thighs, you know, when the baby was coming out. And I mean, we also like poop in the water, we poop on the table, you know, like it's part of that process.
To give them
so the oligosaccharides, even though your baby isn't eating broccoli and getting the fiber from broccoli, you were eating broccoli before birth, and then that bacteria that eats broccoli fiber was healthy and robust in you, was then like on your thighs, and then got into your baby. Since your baby isn't eating broccoli fiber, the oligosaccharides in your breast milk are keeping that bacteria happy and healthy and robust. And so, like, all of that to kind of say that a child like Kieran and like Thane, who are big kids and robust and going to be tall and need to grow rapidly, they need a different bacteria culture than our dainty little girls, right? And I mean, that can be gender switch, whatever, because I've seen very robust little girls and I've seen really dainty little boys. But that's one reason why when you are gestating a gigantic boy who is going to have to grow to be like a 6 foot tall man, you get really big, is because your gut bacteria. Okay, also, if you like basic on gut bacteria, if you cultivate take a culture of the bacteria of someone who's like really lean and really fit and really healthy, they're going to have billions, like tons and tons and tons of different kinds of bacteria in their system. If you take someone who's really, really obese, they're going to have only certain bacteria like that mostly populate. So it's still like in the, you know, millions, but it's nothing like the trillions, you know? So the more diverse your microbiome, the more lean and healthy, the more that you have cravings for like salads, and, you know, the more you want multiple different kinds of vegetables and different kinds of meals, and, you know, you're feeding this whole like intercultural, different bacteria. If you take even like a super lean woman, and take her gut bacteria culture before she is pregnant or at the beginning of her pregnancy, etc., she will have that of a lean woman. By the end of her pregnancy, her gut bacteria will resemble that of someone who is obese.
Interesting.
And the reason for that is because that's the bacteria that's going to grow this baby very rapidly, right? That baby needs to have the bacteria that's going to, like, as an adult, it makes you crave Wendy's, As
Right.
an infant, it makes you just crave more breast milk. You want more of the sugars and the fats and the, all of those things combined. That's what that bacteria culture is for. So essentially, even if and I mean, I had like the best diet for like the first trimester. I gained like 4 pounds, and I was so proud of myself. And then my gut bacteria that was like, this is going to be a grown man one day that's growing inside of you. He's going to need to start out with like those bacteria that make me crave Wendy's,
Right,
so
right.
I had no choice but to eat that food, because I was like, it was literal hell on earth if I didn't eat that food. And then it was like literal heaven on earth if I did eat the food. So I was very incentivized,
Right.
And that's how I gained 80 pounds really rapidly, because my bacteria changed automatically to turn me into an obese person so that my
That's
baby,
amazing.
when he came out, could be populated. Yeah, right? So it
like,
makes a lot of sense. So
that is the only time that I get, and like I used to tell I'm like, you remember when you met me? Like I was having like Arden's Garden for breakfast, smoothies for smoothie king for lunch, and a normal dinner. Like what the F happened? But yeah, that's literally pregnancy. I never knew about that gut stuff, because like pregnancy is what has killed my weight for what I like it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And it's such a huge thing. And the other thing with the boys, like Kieran is still sucking through you like the meals that he pre-ordered when he was in the womb. Like he filled you up and like put all the weight on your body. And then he has been needing that sustenance from you, even though he eats other food and all of that, even as a 3-year-old now, he needs he's still, I would always tell myself that was like, I know it's a boy, and I know my genetics and his father's genetics. He's going to be a tall man. And I know that like all this weight I'm putting on and have to carry in my face, like everywhere, this is going to be his like kitchen. He's stocking up his kitchen, because he's going to have to grow. And he did, like he was in the 96th percentile or something for like the first year of his life for height, like had to grow fast. And so there are two things that wildly contribute to it really not being so much in our control, that we gain that much weight when we're carrying, especially when we're carrying those big boys.
Yeah.
But what that means for you is that your problem, the reason why you are an obese person, why you are like in that state and trying to get out of it, is simply because you have the bacteria of an obese person, which means that all you need to do to correct that, doing the keto stuff is great, like telling your body when we burn fuel, burn fat, and eat healthier food and all that. So you should definitely focus on just augmenting the bacteria that's in your gut. So probiotics, and then also like probiotic foods like kraut and, oh,
I love kraut.
Kimchi. Yeah, kimchi.
I love
not vegan kimchi. You have to make sure that it's not vegan kimchi if you want to like have the actual like miraculous effect, because it is very, very potent medicine for your immune system or for your gut bacteria. There's kimchi. What makes kimchi like actual kimchi is fermented like shrimp stuff, like it's fish product that they use. And there's so many brands now. I think like just as Americans, we're like, oh, that's gross, we don't need that. I can still get like the same, yummy taste from not having that. And then it's, healthier and vegan. It doesn't have like rotting fish in it. Like, well, you lost all the actual like beneficial stuff. Right. So yeah, definitely look at the labels and make sure there is like a fish product in there, something that came.
Well, I guess that's probably why, like back in the days, our grandparents used to give us like fish oils and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I do definitely. Like Erin takes a probiotic, and I told myself I was going to start giving her cod liver oil.
Yeah, cod liver oil is good, definitely good. So yeah, you want to have. There's actually a really. I think I get it at Whole Foods. It's a Wise Women Over 40 or something that I've been using for a long time, because it's really focused on the lactobacillus bacteria, which are the ones that women need to be more dominant in. It's our vaginal health and all of that. And so just in combination, like if you view your system as you're going to be with the probiotics, and the probiotic, like for any kind of fermented vegetables, like literally take or pay someone to take like, you know, like cabbage and carrots and what else, beets and yeah, like purple cabbage, and chop it all up like really finely and just put it like in some water with salt and in a container like in your fridge, and let it just ferment on its own. And it creates like a really awesome probiotic.
Could you post some of that in the
group?
group? Because I have like a shit ton of mason jars, and I've been trying to like use things. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make tomato sauce and ketchup, and I'm gonna make pickles. But like, see, I would do that. I would totally go and buy some organic cabbage and that, and ferment it, especially, and then just have it for a snack. Like, I love sauerkraut. I do enjoy kimchi. I can make my own. Like, I have no problem doing that. And like I said, I have a shit ton of jars for that, just for the purpose. So if you could post
definitely
some...
and sure, I can definitely add some links. There's also like I found on Amazon these really great fermenting jar lids for the wide mouth mason jars that you put on there and like suction air out. Super awesome. Yes, I will definitely post that. There is, so view your bacteria and your goal and all of that as just, you know, moving like slowly, like a spiral. But what you want to be doing is introducing good bacteria, eating the healthy vegetables, and, you know, like variety of foods that you want that bacteria to eat, you know, healthy people eat, you know, that kind of thing. Right. And it'll continue to, the more that you balance your digestion back in that direction. So less Wendy's, more vegetables, less Wendy's, more fish, you know, the more that the ones that, you know, like really needed Wendy's to survive will start to die off, and the other ones will start to take over. And it is like gang wars in there, right? You know, I mean, like right now your Wendy's gang is like way bigger than your vegetables gang, you know, so you're gonna still, and that's who decides what you crave, what you like to eat, because your bacteria, I mean, so like true. God, yeah, there's more bacteria in your body than there are like awesome. Yes. So
no,
that
like,
I
literally like, because like I cannot explain to you, like I'm not a junk food junkie, like but like I just became one. Like I like all of a sudden, like, because even like I said, Marcus knew me before obviously getting pregnant, and I'm like, don't you remember, like I ate healthy, like I enjoyed healthy eating. And like now, even when I do it, like when I make my little salad with some grilled chicken and all the yummies in there, I'm like, why the hell am I not doing this more often? It's so delicious and I love it so much. And now that makes so much more sense. And God, we need more of that information instead of like, I said like food and emotional connection. You just feel like a bad person. Like, I don't eat any vegetables. I'm such a fat ass. And like, you don't know. Like,
it's your identity. You loved identifying.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because then like, so what I'm hearing you saying is like, you could still nourish yourself to nourish your children, but the creation of a healthier gut bacteria is going to help me to whittle down back to the person I am when I am no longer feeding these humans. And that to me makes much more sense than either just, no, you have to eat to feed the kid or eat to live. It's like these huge pendulum sayings that I cannot ever get with. I like that middle ground. Like, no, nourish your children. But then whilst you're doing that, you could be nourishing your gut, which will help you when you no longer need to be on this high fat content space of food.
Yeah, definitely. The more diverse your bacteria, that's what programs your weight, it programs your immune system, it programs your brain chemistry, your mood, oxytocin, serotonin, like all of that. So you always just want to be knowing that you're taking just a step today, just a step tomorrow, you know, not extreme, but taking those steps to introduce bacteria. And I mean, bacteria doesn't just come from probiotics. Good bacteria comes from pets and like, you know, like your kids going out and like playing in the dirt and stuff and then coming in. And I mean, granted, like they're not like messy, but like not washing their hands, because all of that bacteria from, I mean, you don't want them touching the baby because she doesn't have an immune system, but like you don't want them touching or you do want them then like touching their food and eating their food, because it's just a tiny bit of all of the bacteria that lives in soil, getting into their gut. And the more the more diverse the bacteria that comes from pets, that comes from the soil and all of that stuff, the more that gets in there, and it causes more ability for them to like
no, we are definitely not, well, I'm definitely not a hyper vigilant clean American. I'm like, nobody else is as clean, quote unquote, as we want to be. Like, like it's very interesting to me, the obsession with quote unquote cleanliness.
Well,
like, I don't
think about what we just learned.
Sanitizing things.
Yeah. The only time I think they do have a place, because you don't want to pick up viruses and you don't want to pick up things from unhealthy people that you and your kids are interacting with. So airports absolutely have that cleanser on hand, Grocery stores also, a good time.
Yeah.
When they're at a daycare, like wash their hands before they come home, that kind of thing. But yeah, like, not when they're not at home. Yeah, not at home, not in their natural environments, like, healthy friends or, those kinds of things. Like, that bacteria is good to just, so it's not that much of a like mystery. And it is something that is needed, because like we just talked about, you have a mother who's giving birth, who's been put on antibiotics just in case. And then they even knowing this, they bullied me into putting my son in his first 2 days of life on extreme 2 different antibiotics straight into his bloodstream for 2 fucking days. All because they did the whole like, this is like, it could be a problem by the time we get this culture back.
They scare the shit out of you.
It could be
they scare you.
Yeah, and then they gave me that look like, and you didn't have prenatal care, and we're really like questioning your decisions as a parent, and it's like, so I was alone in the middle of the night, 1 a.m. with this bullying nurse, and was like, fine, fine, I consent, fine, just do it, and you have to, like, it was such a pulverizing birth, like, I can't fight anymore, like, fine. And so they did it for 2 days, just destroyed his body with this bacteria, with these 2 antibiotics, and then the culture came back, he didn't even have an infection. There was nothing wrong. They only did it because he had a fever, and because I didn't have like the group B strep test, all of that stuff beforehand.
Yeah, the same thing happened with Kieran. They were like, well, he could have an infection. He has a high fever, and he's not eating this and that. I was like, he'll be all right.
Yeah. Dude, next time I'm not going the unassisted route. I'll do like a midwife and like,
I did the midwife.
I don't want to feel
I
like,
loved it.
Yeah. I don't want to feel that feeling that they make you feel out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unassisted is a little too much.
Yeah,
it's really. Like, there's a reason why people are trained to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I totally respect it. And as long as they can respect my choices and decisions and kind of like come alongside me, the unassisted is a little too much.
Right.
Like, it's just, yes, I trust my body. I do all that. But I can also trust my body and my care. I also don't like, I don't do my own electricity, but I trust my choices in electricians. I definitely enjoy having a midwife.
I wanted the chance for a midwife. Yeah, I will definitely go with a midwife next time. Oh, but what I was saying is that so that's what they're doing. So like we just talked about, like the importance of getting that bacteria in your body onto that baby and that's not happening. So these children are coming into the world sterile, which means they don't have immune systems. They don't have the brain chemistry like coming from their gut that they need. They don't have like any of that stuff. They can't properly even digest the milk that they're getting from their mother, which means that it's really rough for them. And you have all of these children with all of these problems, especially like allergies and all of that. So like those, like if a mother has an instinct to really, cloister her baby and like always use sanitizers and all of that stuff, like so often there is a reason, because a baby that does not have a healthy microbiome, does not have an immune system, that means that like if they get exposed to like botulism in the soil or something, there's nothing there. It's like a city that has no gang, like you get a powerful gang coming in there and being like, we're going to own this city. That's going to own the city, there's no other gangs that have learned to live together that are like, dude, get out, you're shit, like we don't want you here. Like, and we all together are more powerful than you. Like, if you want this like tiny corner in this house, like you can live there, but like other than that, stay in check.
Right.
So there are situations, and like these sterile households and, you know, people who have those like OCD tendencies and stuff, sometimes there is kind of a need for it for their children, because their children actually like might not survive the measles. They might not survive an infection, you know, that other children would be able to like handle just fine. And
right. I was more, I was much more hypervigilant. Erin was a preemie. She was a micro preemie. So she had every single shot they can give. There was sterilizer in my house because she was 1 pound 7 ounces. And when she came home, she was 3 pounds and still on an oxygen monitor. So like there were definitely, you know, I think that that's what deterred me from the groups. I'm super glad like you came out of those, some of those groups. But that's what deterred me, because it's like, it was a very steadfast rule for all things. And it's like, this is not empowering women, because you're not empowering women to make choices. You're bullying them into your view, back to that like deep, heavy pendulum swing. And it's like, no, now for Erin, I was totally every single shot. Oh, we need to sanitize, because that's what she needed. And that was the best choice for her. It's also why I supplemented with her. I wish I didn't. But I just felt like she needed more, you know, she just needed more that I couldn't give.
I mean, your body is also not all that prepared at 5.5 months. You weren't able to like restore the bacteria that she would have needed. You weren't able to like
prepared. It was not. It was really hard to lactate. There was a lot going on there. I was working, and I'd power pump. I'd keep my little pump like on the go with me, and like have it on for an hour, pump 20, off 10, pump 20, off 10, pump 20. Like I forced lactation. So there was a lot of things going on. Now with Kieran, the first time he went to the doctor was before we went to New York. That's the first time he ever got a shot and anything. He's like, what the hell? He hates them. He's like, I don't want it. You know, and he's 3 years old, but he just didn't need it. We were home. He had a sister who was fresh out of daycare, so she definitely had enough germs for him. And we were home and exclusively breastfeeding. There was literally no need to expose him. Now, with Morgan, I did go get her shots before going to New York, because again, she was like 4.5 weeks. We were going on an airplane, which to me is just a hot box of disgustingness. And I really got Karen the immunization really to be her blanket protection. So if she got anything, you know, like at least she had already been exposed, and he was nursing. So whatever he was nursing would be going into her system. So like I totally used him for like her personal herd immunity. But you know, I think each child is definitely different. And I think that, you know, when you really learn to trust yourself, not just, you know, whatever's going on, then you really will make these better decisions. And it's okay to say, hey, that wasn't a good decision. I could make a new decision. And that's important, right?
Yeah. Like, we're always like changing and shifting and growing. And then we're like, that's one thing about diet as well. I was listening to somebody else. I don't remember. I've been listening to way too many different like self-help people all at the same time. Somebody was talking about how if you have like an experience with a diet, you know, you're like watching, you know, a TV show and like an infomercial comes on and they're like, this diet, you know, and you're like, okay, this is the one that I like, that feels great to me. And then you're doing it and you're loving it and all of that. And then at some point, like it's not working great for you. And, you know, something else sounds good. And then you're doing that. And you just feel like this horrible, like wish-washy person. Like, it's wild that that's what our like society is programming us. Like, don't follow your intuition. Like, be one stagnant person. Just stay really still. Absolutely. Like, pick one job, stay it. Pick one partner, stay it. Like, right there. Like, don't move. But like, whatever is, it's like, whatever your beliefs are, like as you're doing something, like your beliefs are shifting, you know? And so whatever it is that your beliefs are, the thing that comes into your awareness that like the universe brings into you that seems like the next best thing, like is the next best thing for you. And your belief that it's the next best thing and like your belief that it's working for you is more powerful than, you know, and a doctor could give you or anything. So as long as you have those feelings, you have those experiences, it's something that's fitting you and where you believe, and you believe that it's working and all that. And like, as soon as it's not, then like, look out for the next best thing, you know?
Something
like,
next. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that your like the keto stuff is awesome. And I think just introducing this awareness of bacteria, you want as many different diverse like kinds of bacteria as possible.
I super duper do.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you'll be like giving that to your baby along with the like the probiotics against like any bacteria and all of that. And then the more that you eat the healthy food, the more you'll have the bacteria in there that's like, I love this food, you know, I love these vegetables, I love this. And then they'll start to like crowd out the Wendy's bacteria, you know, and soon you'll be just remembering, thinking of when you get hungry, you'll think of the chicken and vegetables and, you know, those favorite meals. Just be paying attention to who you're feeding. And I mean, it's not like anything terrible is going to happen if you keep feeding the Wendy's bacteria, you know, just try to keep tipping the scales a little bit more and, you know, feed the troops that you want to be defending you,
Right.
instead of the, you know, the guys that you don't want in there ruling, keeping
I like
priority. And it'll just be like a natural transition, just like you already know is what you're going through. You're not looking for anything like extreme.
that. Taking my time. I have nothing, you know, I've like you said, like you gained it in 8 months. And for me, it's been over 2 kids. So like, I'm not rushing.
Yeah.
I'm saying like, I'd like to be there eventually, like probably about 2 years. I definitely want to be super duper sexy at 45. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you will be too. Like,
Yes, I will.
absolutely guaranteed. Absolutely.
No doubt in my mind.
And I like the idea that like you get to spend the next like 2 years or whatever getting used to the feeling of like my clothes are a little loose. Like, man, this hasn't happened in a few months. You know, like this is nice. Like this is the experience. Like, yeah, I mean, some people lose 100 pounds in like a year. You know, I would say 6 months, but God, I hope that that's not common.
Yeah.
Like I mean, they could go all through all of that like within the year, and you know, and then they're just kind of stuck with like a body that has drained itself, you know, like eating the protein as much as the fats, and you know, like they're weak and they have all this skin, and you know, they didn't give their body like time to actually do it in a healthy way and like adapt with them and you know change. So
yeah, see, that's what
and
I
they
don't
also
want
just
either.
have that experience of
Yeah, I'm super happy to go slow because I do not want, I don't like the leftover skin. I already am not loving the C-section flap. That's definitely going to get cut out. But so yeah, I'm not going to keep that. And that's another reason why I want to go slow is because like I'd rather be heavy and a little bit firmer, like at least full, than like go down to your size and like I have like bed sheets for arms. That's not attractive to me. I understand that that's somebody else's goal, that they just want the weight off. I am much more concerned with what I look like naked than what I look like in clothes. I could pull anything together even now in some clothing. I prefer to stand there naked and like that. And if my skin is hanging everywhere, I wouldn't.
That would not be what you want to see. That's for sure.
No, not me. I'm good.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Yeah, and you do still have that. Like I have had phases where I'm like, wow, I really like everything is getting smaller, but I do have like my stomach is stretched out and stuff, and it did like it's not stretched out anymore. You know, like it does continue. You know, like it's not like one or the other necessarily. But yeah, you have a lot less of that less of those experiences along the way. And again, like giving my body always time. I'm always plateauing and, you know, in my weight gain but my clothes always fit differently and all of that stuff. So I always shift around. Yeah, definitely.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's awesome. I love this conversation and I'm so glad that we recorded it too. I usually have conversations with women and when we get to like kind of the core aspect of like what it is that they need to unlock underneath of like their weight gain and you know all of that, it's usually something really like emotional, like a trauma that caused them to be like, that's what I get for being attractive, you know, like I don't want to be attractive anymore. And they've been like, you know, that was one core thing for me as well, because I mean I was activated by a man when I was 4. So I was always aware of like sexuality, the way that men were looking at me, all of that stuff. So it was a very push and pull, you know, there was a part of me that was like, you know, repeat my trauma. Like keep not paying attention to the fact that this man is not paying attention to my boundaries and all of that, and like put myself in situations and keep having that thing. And then at the same time being like, okay, I don't want men to look at me. Like, you know, I don't want this. I'm like, I don't want it. Last thing I want to do is walk down the street and be like a 10, you know, like every single man is staring at me. Like, and I've had so many experiences with women as well, you know, like, God, like I just feel so unsafe in the world if everybody is, you know, like nobody wants to be just my friend, you know? So yeah, that's usually like kind of the core that I get to. So I haven't actually like dove into this stuff with anybody through.
Oh yeah, because
like,
I am the absolute opposite. I'm totally trying to be a 10. I want everybody to want to sleep with me.
I love that.
Those are my goals, honey. Like, I want to be turning people down. Like, no, sweetie, no. I'm married. No, only he gets it. Thank you. But I still want to be wanted. So yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I mean, I recognize that a lot of women actually do have an unfortunate relationship with their body and sexuality in that way, is because they've been violated. And I'm super thankful that's not the situation. My emotional thing is like, it killed me that pregnancy did that to me, because like I love my kids, and I'm like, I really hate the aftermath though of pregnancy, because
you love your kids and you love your body and you don't want it to be a competition.
I don't want it to be a competition between you guys are ruining what I love about me. And obviously there's much more depth to it, you know, because I know, like, you know, with the new age, oh, you're not supposed to, whatever. I need to like what I like, you know.
You're still allowed to feel like how you feel in your body. Yeah.
Right. You know, I mean, like, I'm not talking about nobody else's body
that you're getting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, because people be like, oh, you're fat shaming. Like, look, I'm not, hey, you do you with your body, but this body likes to look a certain kind of way. So that's what's important.
Feel a certain kind of way. Everything changes. Like, I'm like the sensuality, like the way that someone touching me feels in my body when I was 220 pounds versus when I am like even 180 and then like 150. Like, it feels so different. It's almost like it's muted. Like, I can't feel anything. And then all the feedback that I'm getting is like the feeling of fat squishing around, and, you know, like none of this is attractive. And yet this like person that I want to be connected, it's like, it's just such a horrible feeling.
Exactly.
And then when I would get like leaner and somebody would touch me, it would just be like, I could feel, you know, like I could just feel that
different.
You feel like how my skin is supposed to respond to being touched, you know, like, wow. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many aspects in there. Like you said, like wanting to run around after your children and, you know, all of that, like, that is a very, like, no one should shame you for being like, I'm not liking this body that's holding me back right now. Exactly. And I'm going to work with it to fix this. I think that's the main key, though, is working with
it. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, working alongside it. And that information, I'm super glad that we got to that, because that resonates in a major way. Because, and then you do shame yourself if you're like, well, I'm just going to eat healthy. That shit sounds good. But when you're like craving a burger, or you want that, you know, candy or soda or whatever it is.
Right.
But see, being armed with information, like I'm an information person. I really like input.
Yeah.
So that's like one of my learning languages is input. And so for me, that's like, oh, let me see how I can help shift this gut. Like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have a burger with sauerkraut.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? Like, I could, you know, like I could shift it. Like I said, I have Erin on probiotics because one of my very good friends, she was like, she needs that because she doesn't eat amazingly, and I credit that to, like I said, all of those, well, like you said, more like sterile environments, and that she never gained any real taste for anything because she wasn't able to just only breastfeed. You know, by the time she could really taste things, she was being supplemented. And she was eating better as a baby, but not older. Anyway, the whole point is I like the probiotics for her. It makes me feel like even though she's not shoving down some vegetables, I know I'm giving her something good for her gut and helping. And she understands that. And I'm like, it's bacteria, which you do not get because you don't eat shit but oatmeal and chicken nuggets.
Well, you know, another good thing that's good for you and for her is, you know, you're putting that bacteria in there, but that bacteria needs to be like said to, stay and stick around and, camp out and make a place for itself and all of that. So anything that you can do to just sneak in like little bits, like there's only going to be like, you need trillions in there and they're going to be like a few hundred at first, like there's only going to be a little bit. So it's not like you need to give her probiotics and expect her to eat like a whole plate of broccoli, but anything
but I do notice that continued use, she's so much more willing, or not, she's probably not more willing. She's so much more receptive after when tasting it. Like now she's a broccoli eater. Yeah. She's like, oh, I eat broccoli,
That's
like,
awesome.
So I definitely recognize. Yeah. I was like, but like now, so like you then telling me that, I'm like, that makes so much sense. Cause I used to think I was crazy for thinking that. I'm like,
yeah,
these prebiotics. I was like, she eats so much better now. And I'm like, that can't possibly be true. Like that's just my placebo mind.
Yeah.
So
right.
Arming me with that information actually makes it make much more sense.
That makes sense too. That's awesome. So anything, if you can make like smoothies for you guys and just make them, for her, like make them taste delicious, be like fruit and creamy, like pureed ice cream almost. But, sneak in like, one thing I love to do is make a mint smoothies, and you can flavor it, or you can color it with spinach. Mm-hmm. And it really doesn't create like a flavor, but it creates a beautiful green to it. And like, so things like that, where you can get like some vegetables in there and help start to like, bring up the levels of those bacteria that are, being introduced to her and all of that. The more that then when she ever like tries spinach again, like she's more likely to like it and to think that it's delicious, because she has cultivated that bacteria. So any ways that you can slip like okra into a smoothie, it doesn't have to be a lot, because like I said, she doesn't even have like a lot of bacteria to feed,
Right,
like,
exactly.
Totally raise it, because she'll, get used to the taste and like the taste because she's feeding the bacteria.
It's already in there. Hey, you guys are back recording. Yeah. So it's about to get crazy.
Awesome. Well, we can wrap it up. This has been an amazing call. I'm so grateful. I'm so glad that we recorded it. This is going to be, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Charger is somewhere. I don't know. All right. Thank you. It was awesome. Thank you for your information. Thank you for your time. Thank you for working with my crazy schedule.
Yeah, no problem. Same here. So I will talk to you.
Can I take this off?
Bye. Yeah, you can take it off. You can take it off.